Hey, do me a favor real quick. Pull out your phone, open your camera roll, and just scroll for a second. What do you see? A few selfies, maybe some food pics, and then hundreds, maybe thousands, of photos of one furry, four-legged creature who isn't even human, but somehow takes up most of your storage. Now, look around the world for a moment. Dog strollers rolling down city sidewalks, birthday cakes for cats, people saying with zero hesitation, "Kids? Nah, I've got my golden retriever." If you see yourself in any of that, you are not alone. In the United States, nearly 60 million households own a dog, and a huge number of those people treat their dog like family. Like a child, even. But why? Is this just a cute quirk of modern life? Or is something deeper happening inside our brains and our hearts? Today, we're going to break down the real psychology behind it. Using actual experiments published some of in the most respected scientific journals on the planet. And by the end of this video, I promise you'll never feel weird about calling your dog your baby again. So stick around, because somewhere in the middle, there's a study so precise it'll honestly give you chills. Let's start with a fact we can actually see on a brain scan. Back in 2014, researchers at Massachusetts General Hospital, affiliated with Harvard, put mothers inside an MRI machine. They showed each mom photos of her own child and then photos of her own dog, with a switching back and forth. The results, published in the journal PLOS One, stopped a lot of people in their tracks. When these moms looked at their child, and when they looked at their dog, a shared network of the brain lit up. The regions tied to emotion, to reward, to bonding, the same circuits in both cases. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. The brain did not respond in an identical way. When a mom looked at her child, a deep, primitive reward center in the midbrain fired more strongly. When she looked at her dog, the part of the brain that processes faces lit up more instead. So what does that mean? It means your brain isn't confused. It isn't mistaking your dog for your child. It loves your dog in its own distinct way. A love that is completely real, that has a genuine, measurable basis in the brain, but one built more around the face, the gaze, the simple presence of that animal. You're not broken, you're loving, in a deeply human way. And it goes further than that, because that love has a chemical signature, and it shows up in your bloodstream. In 2015, a researcher named Miho Nagasawa and his team published something in the journal Science, one of the most prestigious journals in the world. They measured oxytocins, the so-called love hormone, the same chemical that bonds a mother to her newborn, in both dogs and their owners, before and after they looked into each other's eyes. And here's what they found. When a dog and its owner held a long mutual gaze, oxytocin went up in both of them. The dog looks at you, your oxytocin rises, you reach out and stroke the dog's oxytocin rise, and the two of you look at each other again. It's a positive feedback loop, the exact same kind of loop that runs between a mother and her baby. But here's the twist that makes this study so powerful. They ran a similar test with wolves that had actually been raised by humans, hand-reared from a young age. And the loop didn't happen. Wolves barely make eye contact with people at all. Think about what that's telling us. This gaze loop isn't just some natural feature that every animal has lying around. It evolved over tens of thousands of years of dogs living right beside us. Your dog, quite literally, has been rewired to reach into the bonding system of your brain. And it works every single time it looks up at you, which brings me to that look. You know the one I mean. That moment your dog raises its inner eyebrows, opens its eyes wide, tilts its head, and looks just sad enough that you instantly want to give it half of whatever you're eating. That's not an accident. That's evolution. In 2019, a scientist named Julianne Kaminsky at the University of Portsmouth published a study in the journal PNAS. She and her team dissected and compared the facial muscles of dogs and wolves. And they discovered something much surprising. Dogs have a small muscle, one built specifically to raise that inner eyebrow that wolves essentially don't have. In just about 33,000 years of living with us, the dog's face was physically reshaped specifically to communicate with human beings. Now, why would a muscle like that win out in evolution? Because the expression it creates makes a dog look more childlike. And it mirrors the exact face a human makes when we're sad. Our brains see it, and we flip straight into caregiving mode. So over thousands of generations, the dogs who could make the eyes got loved more, got fed more, and survived and reproduced more than the ones who couldn't. So let that really sink in. Your dog is the end result of tens of thousands of years of humans unconsciously selecting for the animals that were the very best at tugging on our heartstrings. And it is so effective that, well, you're watching this video right now instead of doing something else, aren't you? But here's something a lot of people miss. This bond is not one-sided. Your dog isn't just manipulating you. Science has shown that your dog is genuinely attached to you. In the same way a child is attached to a parent. There's a classic psychology experiment called the strange situation. It was designed by a researcher named Mary Ainsworth to measure attachment in young children. You bring a baby into an unfamiliar room. The mother leaves, then comes back, and you carefully watch how the child reacts to all of it. Well, in 1998, a researcher named Josef Topal took that exact experiment and applied it to 51 dog and owner pairs. And what he found was striking. The dogs used their owner as a secure base. They explored more, they played more, and they acted more confident when their owner was in the room. And they showed clear, obvious distress when their owner left. Most importantly, they aimed all of these behaviors specifically at their owner, not at a stranger sitting right there. That is almost exactly the attachment pattern of a child with a parent. This is also why veterans, trauma survivors, and people living with anxiety so often form these incredibly deep bonds with therapy dogs and emotional support animals. The dog becomes a safe harbor, predictable, non-judgmental, baktekko, always there, no matter what kind of day you had. And honestly, a lot of us, by giving a dog that steady, unconditional love, are quietly healing the child inside ourselves at the same time. Now, I need to pause here and say something a little more honest. Something a lot of videos like this just skip over. The fact that our brains respond to dogs the way they respond to children is real, and it is beautiful. But it does not mean a dog replaces human connection. And it doesn't mean that pouring every single emotional need into a creature that depends completely on us is always the healthy move. Researchers actually warn that overhumanizing our pets can sometimes lead us to misread what a dog truly needs, because they need to be allowed to be dogs, not babies dressed in little sweaters. Loving them well means honoring the bond and respecting their nature at the same time. Because healthy love is never possessive love. So here's the truth, both sides of it. You are not crazy for loving your dog this deeply, and you also deserve human connection right alongside that love. The two things don't cancel each other out. They were never supposed to. And that brings us to the part we don't talk about nearly enough. The grief. Losing a dog can hurt as much as losing a family member. And the reason is simple. That's exactly what it is. You're losing a family member. The bond was real. We've measured it now, in the blood, in the brain, in the behavior. But the world around us often doesn't recognize that pain. Psychologists even have a name for it. They call it disenfranchised grief, the kind of loss other people don't fully acknowledge. It's when someone says, it was just a dog, while your whole heart is breaking like you've lost a child. The empty bed in the corner, the daily routine that suddenly just isn't there anymore. The silence when you walk through the front door, and there are no paws racing across the floor to meet you. If you've ever been through that, I see you. Your grief is valid, and the sheer depth of that pain is the clearest proof there is of just how big the love really was. So the next time someone rolls their eyes because you called your dog your baby, just smile. Because now you know the truth, and the truth is even better than the rumor. Your brain isn't confused. Your heart isn't overreacting. You are experiencing one of the most natural, most profound parts of being human, the need to love and to be loved in return. A need so powerful that it literally reshaped the face of another species over tens of thousands of years. Dogs give us something genuinely rare in this complicated world. They give us pure presence. They teach us patience and forgiveness and how to find joy in the simplest things. A sunny morning walk, a belly rub, a quiet evening on the couch with someone who's just happy you're there. Because family isn't always about whose blood you share. Sometimes it's about the one waiting by the door, tail spinning like a little helicopter, because to them, you are the whole world. If this one spoke to you, go ahead and drop a like. Leave your dog's name down in the comments and subscribe so we can keep exploring the psychology of what makes us human and what makes us better humans. Your furry best friend thanks you, and so do I. I'll see you in the next one.